Merry Christmas and welcome to our summer flashback series. Here's another one of our top stories from 2025. Please click the subscribe button below to support our show for free and the join button to become a member and help us return in 2026, or join on our website right here. The United States Defense Secretary this week made what appears to be the strongest comments ever that the US will come to Taiwan's aid militarily if it's to be attacked by China. Now, sometimes strong language is used as a warning and a deterrent, but this still is pretty significant. And I've got to say that the subsequent media and political commentary in Australia has been a bit bizarre, to say the least. Secretary Pete Hesgeth also said something else that's really important. He said that action by China against Taiwan could be imminent.
We know, it's public, that Xi has ordered his military to be capable of invading Taiwan by 2027. The PLA is building the military needed to do it, training for it every day, and rehearsing for the real deal. Again, to be clear, any attempt by Communist China to conquer Taiwan by force would result in devastating consequences for the Indo-Pacific and the world. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. The threat China poses is real, and it could be imminent. We hope not, but it certainly could be.
Okay, that's US Defense Secretary Pete Hesgeth speaking last Saturday at the Shangri-La Dialogues in Singapore. Hesgeth has requested that Australia lift its defence spending considerably from 2% of our GDP to 3.5% of our GDP as soon as possible. The Australian newspaper put a nice chart together showing what other countries are spending. Australia's not too bad. Going to 3.5 would take us above the US's current rate, although they too will probably be increasing. And we probably need to be spending a large chunk of our GDP, given our GDP is small and the country is so physically big, I guess. But it does seem like a bit of a big ask. The Australian newspaper's Foreign Affairs editor, Greg Sheridan, noted this week, "We're in danger of missing the historic significance of all of this." Sheridan says that historians may well look back on this moment as a pivot point in Australian history. He says that of the two messages that Hesgeth delivered, that a China attack on Taiwan might be imminent, and that if it did happen, that the US will likely come to Taiwan's aid, Sheridan notes that Australia's Defence Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles claimed to hear them, but Anthony Albanese treated both of them with contempt.
What we'll do is we'll determine our defence policy, and we've invested just across the forwards an additional $10 billion in defence. What we'll do is continue to provide for investing in our capability, but also investing in our relationships in the region.
All right, so we don't need the United States as an ally to manage China and its 1.2 billion people if they ever get too aggressive in our region. How about a message with a bit more of a tone of respect for the United States and Secretary Hesgeth and President Trump and what they're actually trying to achieve here, Albo, which is the security of our region and the protection of liberal democracy against a communist authoritarian potential aggressor? Or don't we care about that stuff anymore? We're also super cool now. We think China and the US are just morally equivalent. Give me a break. I mean, I'm a proud Australian too, and I don't like people telling us we've got to step up our game, but I think we need to be prioritising the United States over China as our ally. Okay? I think we can make that call, can't we? Anyway, I want to share with you some more of Pete Hesgeth's speech at the Shangri-La conference because it's important and you don't get much coverage of this stuff in depth in the Aussie media. The US Defence Secretary began his speech by reiterating America's newfound commitment under President Trump to the concept of peace through strength.
From day one, President Trump gave me a clear mission at the Defense Department: achieve peace through strength. To accomplish this mission, our overriding objectives have been equally clear: restore the warrior ethos, rebuild our military, and reestablish deterrence. And it starts with a warrior ethos. All of us in this profession of arms understand that humans are far more important than hardware. We respect human nature, hard training, and the lessons of history.
Pete Hesgeth went on to explain that the reform of the US military starts firstly with transforming the personnel by rooting out identity politics and restoring meritocracy. And then secondly, transforming the hardware and the capabilities.
We're equipping American warfighters with the most advanced capabilities so that we remain the strongest and most lethal fighting force in the world. President Trump is spending, for the first time ever, over $1 trillion next year to do this, a 13% increase in American defense spending. When our opponents know that our military is armed with the most capable weapon systems, wielded by skilled warriors with the will to prevail, they are less likely to challenge us on the battlefield, which is the point. This leads to the third objective, which is reestablishing deterrence.
It was after this that Hesgeth called on all US allies in the region to increase their defence spending. Japan is one that's already doing so. They understand the China threat in a way that we don't, perhaps. Japan has more or less doubled its defence budget. Who else has spoken out on Australia needing to up its defence spending? Well, former Chief of Army General Peter Leahy has called for significantly more funding for defence now and well into the future, saying we're too tolerant of risk. We think the threat is far off into the future and are doing our spending strategy based on that. And it simply isn't good enough because the threat may not be so far off. He was strong in his language, saying it was an abrogation of the primary responsibility of our elected representatives to provide for the defence and security of this nation. The head of foreign policy and defence at Australia's US Studies Centre, Peter Dean, one of the people who wrote the Albanese government's defence review, says an increase to 3% of GDP is realistic for Australia. And the current chief of the Australian Defence Forces, the Navy's Admiral David Johnson, said on Wednesday at a conference in Canberra that we may need to launch combat operations from Australian soil. We need to get ready for that, he says. Here's how the ABC TV reported that.
Defence is fully expending its budget at the moment. That's a good thing as we've uplifted our acquisition delivery, workforce is improving. Perhaps finally, we're having to reconsider Australia as a homeland from which we will conduct combat operations. And that, again, is a very different way, almost since the Second World War, about how we think of national resilience and preparedness of we may need to operate and conduct combat operations from this country. And that's everything from our northern infrastructure, our supply chains.
That's Chief of the Australian Defence Forces, Admiral David Johnson, speaking at a conference in Canberra on Wednesday. And in an interview with Shari Markson on Sky News Australia this week, Donald Trump's counter-terrorism chief, Sebastian Gorka, urged the Albanese government to commit to more spending on defence, and he spoke very frankly about the main threat to the Western world.
But the number one strategic threat we face as the West isn't terrorism. We will manage that. I think you in Australia know what the number one threat is, and that is the world's largest communist dictatorship. It is China. You don't even need to have a clearance like I do. You can read the open source materials from Beijing. Go away right now after this show and plug into the internet the phrase unrestricted warfare. Read that book that is now translated for free in English from two senior PLA colonels that give the game plan on how to take down countries like America, like Australia. Understand what the One Belt, One Road initiative really means. Understand that the Beijing authorities have themselves stated that for the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Revolution in 2049, they have one goal and one goal alone: to be the only superpower in the world, with every other nation a satrapy, a tributary nation, or defeated. So why is China doing this? Because they have a game plan, and we have to take it seriously. And the good news is President Trump takes it very seriously. His advisors like Peter Navarro, Scott Bessent, they also take it very, very seriously. Pete Hesgeth gets it as well. So does Tulsi Gabbard. So does John Ratcliffe at the CIA. We will deal with the terrorists, but we also must understand the threat that Communist China represents to all decent, civilized, free nations.
If you like The Other Side, one of the best ways you can support us is by signing up for the products of our sponsors. And one of our best sponsors is PIA VPN, the virtual private network that stops people spying on your internet activity. It'll keep you and your family truly safe from the prying eyes of big governments and corporations without slowing down your internet speeds. And you can watch Netflix or other streaming services using your regular accounts with them as if you're viewing from any country in the world. You can sign up for less than $3 a month and get a whopping 83% off the normal price. Just go to piavpn.com/otherside to sign up and you'll get the discount. And you'll get more info on those special deals if you check it out. That's piavpn.com/otherside. Time to upgrade your outdoor space, carport, pergola, patios, flyover roofs, decks, whatever you need, Smart Kits has you covered. Our sponsor, Smart Kits, is Australia's most trusted do-it-yourself home improvement store. And this Christmas holiday season, they're offering a whopping 20% off almost all their range. Free shipping too, and a 10% deposit. It's all you need. Jump on it now at smartkits.com.au. That's smartkits.com.au. The Other Side is Australia's weekly news and commentary summary show from a deeper, more balanced, sensible centrist perspective. If you like that clip, you'll like our show. We're hoping to return late January, but we need your support. Please help us by donating as little as $1 a week by either clicking the join button below on YouTube or becoming a subscriber on our website right here.